Trump's vindication nears. Leftists have long alleged that Donald Trump has conducted crimes with the mafia, as well as with Russian oligarchs. What they can never explain is why Trump has never been indicted. As Rex explains, there may be a reason for that. And in 2019, it's all connected to POTUS Trump's masterful takedown of the swamp. Opponents of Donald Trump have an absolute, some might say fanatic, obsession with Trump's alleged links with organized crime. For example, Trump's critics have always referred to Trump's suspicious relationship with the five families in 1980s New York. However, from 2015, they have of course focused on Trump's extensive connections to the Russian mafia. Readers of the many articles on this topic will now be familiar with their tone. Often published with portentous images implying a Trump connection to money laundering, shady deals, the Kremlin, or the Sicilian Mafia, these reporters' objective is to create misleading scenarios, intended to stoke suspicion. Take this quote from an article Trump's Russian laundromat in the New Republic on July 13, 2017. Over the past 3 decades, at least 13 people with known or alleged links to Russian mobsters or oligarchs have owned, lived in, and even run criminal activities out of Trump Tower and other Trump properties. Many used his apartments and casinos to launder untold millions in dirty money. Some ran a worldwide high-stakes gambling ring out of Trump Tower in a unit directly below one owned by Trump. Others provided Trump with lucrative branding deals that required no investment on his part. Gosh. And did you know that over the years, Trump and his sons would try to build a new Trump Tower in Moscow? There's one problem. The reporters don't tell you that of the 13 people, almost all have been indicted and jailed, in the US or overseas. They also don't tell you that the Moscow project never happened. Time and time again, leftist reporters are able to connect dots between Trump and mafia associates. However, they're never able to find that elusive piece of evidence that they know must exist, revealing Trump's criminality. And that's the point. Their intense hatred of Trump blinds them. It means that they are starting their investigations and research with the assumption that Trump must be a criminal, rather than asking, pages 49 to 50 of Part 2, we have reference to a source expressing grave concern over the corruption in the redacted area. On page 76, there is reference to a source providing information about an employee in Atlantic City. Given that Donald Trump had started purchasing properties along the Atlantic City boardwalk as early as 1980, had opened Trump's World Fair on April 14, 1981 and received a casino license on March 15, 1982. The timeline that starts with the original FBI memo explained above and the downfall of Scarfo, is entirely consistent with Trump and his people assisting the FBI. And that isn't the only coincidence between Trump and the fall of organized criminals, operating in the US. The Russians, Bayrak and Sater. Believe it or not, but the lamentable BuzzFeed produced a very good article in March 2018 focusing on Felix Sater, one of Trump's longest business associates and an astonishing individual in his own right, as a US spy. As per usual, the reporters, Hax Cormier and Leopold, produced the article, incorrectly thinking it was damaging to Trump. Why? They assumed that Sater, who they revealed has a long-standing relationship with at least 6 of Mueller's SC team, was giving evidence against Trump. Extremely unlikely. Reminder, Felix Sater was a managing director of Bayrak Group LLC, as well as a senior advisor to Donald Trump and the Trump Organization when construction of the Trump Soho began in 2006. He played a major role throughout the process of the building's construction, and remained managing director of Bayrock Group when the Trump Soho project was completed in 2010. Bayrock partnered with the future president and his two eldest children, Donald Jr. and Ivanka, on a series of real estate deals between 2002 and about 2011, the most prominent being the troubled Trump Soho Hotel and condominium in Manhattan. During the years that Bayrock and Trump did deals together, the company was also a bridge between murky European funding and a number of projects in the U.S., to which the president once lent his name in exchange for handsome fees. Icelandic banks that dealt with Bayrock, for example, were easy marks for money launderers and foreign influence, according to interviews with government investigators, legislators, and others in Reykjavik, Brussels, Paris and London. Trump testified under oath in a 2007 deposition that Bayrock brought Russian investors to his Trump Tower office to discuss deals in Moscow, and said he was pondering investing there. Trump and Sater? Both had been FBI informants for years. Connect the dots, Sater was working and Trump were working for the FBI and using Bayrock, a legitimate business, as a honeypot/bait for Russian money launderers and crooks. And they're still close, I suspect. Sater is loyal to Trump, which Jerry Nadler may have just discovered, and why it's unlikely we will ever see Felix Water testify, in front of his tin pot home of representatives inquiry. Oh, Bayrock. Who was the FBI director all this time? Well. Robert Mueller. FBI Vault. In October 2018, the FBI quietly released two files on the fall of Nicky Scarfo. They provide a fascinating insight into how the FBI investigation went down, but more importantly for our purposes, stress the importance of protecting sources and informants. This was for good reason. On page 223 of Part 1, for example, we find this. Information provided by this informant has proven to be extremely accurate and reliable and has never been found to be false. Information furnished to the FBI by this informant has been corroborated by independent investigation conducted by SASP at the FBI on at least 25 separate occasions. The FBI has made at least 23 arrests and has obtained at least 9 federal convictions as a result of information supplied by this informant. On pages 49 to 50 of Part 2, we have reference to a source expressing grave concern over the corruption in the redacted area. On page 76, there is reference to a source providing information about an employee in Atlantic City. Given that Donald Trump had started purchasing properties along the Atlantic City boardwalk as early as 1980, had opened Trump's World Fair on April 14, 1981 and received a casino license on March 15, 1982. The timeline that starts with the original FBI memo explained above and the downfall of Scarfo, is entirely consistent with Trump and his people assisting the FBI. And that isn't the only coincidence between Trump and the fall of organized criminals, operating in the U.S. The Russians, Bayrock and Sater. Believe it or not, but the lamentable BuzzFeed produced a very good article in March 2018 focusing on Felix Sater, one of Trump's longest business associates and an astonishing individual in his own right, as a U.S. spy. As per usual, the reporters, Hacks Cormier and Leopold, produced the article, incorrectly thinking it was damaging to Trump. What? They assumed that Sater, who they revealed has a long-standing relationship with at least 6 of Mueller's SC team, was giving evidence against Trump. accept that Trump has been a very valuable source for the FBI since at least 1981, you can start to see his influence in major FBI/DOJ takedowns more clearly. For example, in the early 1990s, the FBI was making a major push against the mob in New York. The Gambino crime family in New York was brought down in 1992. The Mafia Commission between February 25, 1985 and November 19, 1986 broke up the 5 families. Each of these probes would have relied on valuable source informants, much like the Scarfo takedown in 1981. Given the above and the Mafia's power in the construction sector, what are the chances that Donald J. Trump was a valuable source for these investigations? Answer, in my opinion, very high. Now consider these remarkable coincidences. Who led the Mafia Commission prosecution? Rudy Giuliani. Who led the Gambino prosecution? Robert Mueller, who was U.S. AG for the DOJ Criminal Division between 1990 to 1993. Who was working for Mueller at DOJ during this time? Rod Rosenstein. And who was the Deputy Attorney General between May 1990 and November 26, 1992, before becoming the Attorney General? William Barr. And how about this? Barr's dad in the 1990s was George Terwilliger. His son, Zachary, was Grassley's DOJ investigator for judiciary. Zachary Terwilliger then became Rod Rosenstein's chief of staff, before being appointed United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. Who did Zachary Terwilliger replace in Virginia? Dana Bowen. Ring a bell? Bowen is now the FBI chief legal counsel. Someone tell Rex there are 2 other big connections. Barr's dad was Terwilliger, his son was Grassley's DOJ investigator for judiciary. He then became RR's chief of staff, then replaced Dana Bowen when he left DOJ to become FBI chief counsel. 2. It wasn't just the mob, it was BCCIHTTPS://T. Co/1UOSU page. Ask yourself this, would these men know that Trump has been a long-standing patriot and FBI source, for decades? Answer, yes. Would any of these men work for Trump, if he was the traitor and Russian agent, that leftist journalists have been accusing him of? Answer, no way. 2019, Mueller is SC. Rosenstein is DAG. Barr is now AG. And how about Donald J. Trump, patriot, billionaire, FBI informant, President of the United States of America? Have any leftist reporters made these connections? No, of course not. They're still chasing shiny objects down endless information dead ends, chasing that elusive piece of evidence that they know must exist, proving Orange Man bad. My advice? Laugh and ignore them. As they run around like headless chickens, we can see that Trump has assembled a mighty team to drain the swamp. The strategy has been nothing short of genius and the execution, masterful. It is now far too late for the enemies of the Republic to respond. Taken by complete surprise, their fates are sealed. Buckle up. The storm is upon us. The stage is set, for Trump's hammer to fall. Note, Rex would like to thank SGT Friday at Friday, Twitter at Noah4791836 and